we are welcoming different viewpoints. I'll put this to you. Why is it that someone who does, say, a Bachelor of Arts with a double psych major, who then starts work in a community-based organisation, works there for 5 or 10 years, does very well, says, I'm going to do a Masters of Social Work, and either does a 12-month or an 18-month Masters. Why is it they can't be members of the AASW? You know, why is that? And the answer is because our rules say that unless you've done an accredited degree on your bike, we don't want to know you. And I think we really need to reassess that. The other thing is that the difficulty for us in us arguing that we're the only people that do social work, no one else believes it. It's not a convincing argument for other people. So my argument would be that perhaps we need to relook at our definitions of social work and take a broader assessment. And I've got to say, look, I've been through a transformation. I remember when I was working in WA, having a person who was a 3-year graduate of a human service degree or welfare degree, working alongside me. And one of the things that the WA Department of Community Development was doing at that stage was arguing that, and there were a number of rules that gave social workers preeminence in both the career path, etc. And I remember having lots of discussions with her, and I would throw out the arguments about, you know, a 4-year degree obviously was better than a 3-year degree, and etc. You know, increasingly I came to look at my own arguments and thought maybe that's not right. That disenfranchising people because of a perceived lesser degree, and then structurally keeping them out from career opportunities. How did that actually fit with our value, with my value base? And the other problem, the other nagging doubt I had was that I would look at some of the people who did have social work degrees, whose practice standards I thought were ordinary. And then I'd see people who didn't have social work degrees who were brilliant practitioners, who were very, very talented, who had a similar value base and ethical base to the social work profession. So I've actually been through a bit of transformation and come round to a point where I think that we really need to look more holistically at what social work is and really reassert the social care aspects of it, assert the values and certainly assert the frameworks. I've digressed a bit. Okay, we have to much more market ourselves. Frankly, we're terrible at it. You would have seen in the recent bulletin that we've asked for people to put their hand up as social work expert advisors. That's going to be one of the ways as a profession we're going to do that. We're going to get the voice of social work and social work perspectives out there in the media. There's no place for humility in contemporary social policy and media. If you're not out there as a... Look at the AMA. They're out there every other weekend, right? Pushing their barrow, you might say. Yeah, and they do it really successfully. And they influence social policy and programs. You betcha. Look at the police service. When was the last time you heard or saw a police officer, you know, Joe Bloggs, police officer, out there saying something about, you know, crime or policing? Probably this morning, right? Or at least last night. That's something that we don't do very well at all. And we need a structural response within the association. Part of my view, part of one of the things that's gone wrong with the AASW is that we adopted a very pyramidical approach where the national president was the only person who should speak out. I think it's a nonsense. I think it's actually quite counterproductive to us as a profession, so we're going to try and deal with that. But we do need to remarket and reassert our views about the way things should be done. Part of what it's about too is about asserting our traditional social work values and challenging people on a moral basis, and particularly policymakers and politicians. Now I've got to say, given all the stuff I said before, the other side of it is that a lot of social workers are actually quite intimidated within their organisations and fear putting their hand up and making stances because they fear, rightly or wrongly, that it will negatively affect their career prospects. That is a legitimate role for the AASW to take. And it's something that we should be doing much more. Okay, I think we need to re-engage with the policy debates. We've been too silent. But that's not to say we haven't said anything. We have, but it's been quite often quite disorganised and not strategic. And so we're going to do a lot where, one of the things we're working on with the National Social Policy Committee is to do exactly that on a range of fronts. And we're not going to do it, first of all, across the board. We're going to try and target some particular social policy areas. And those are the mental health area. That's one of the areas we're going to target. We're also going to target the asylum seekers and the welfare to work stuff. They're the three big. We're also targeting child protection. Now, those of you in the health area might be saying, hey, what about health? We can't do everything at once, right? So we're trying to pick the ones that are, mental health at the moment is quite a battleground, and we're certainly going to be we are fighting some battles there to get ourselves back at the table of the policy debate. We can no longer continue to just argue that it's about intuitive practice and about our relationship-based stuff. We have to engage with the research-informed practice. Now, personally speaking, I think the whole issue about evidence-based practice has been used to sharpen a number of professions, ourselves included. It's actually been used by some disciplines to exclude others. That said, I think we also have to be smart enough to say, hey, we need to be offering services and approaches that have good research to back them up. That it's not just about, I'm an intuitive social worker with a halo and I know what's right. We have to be a bit smarter than that. We have to reassert, I should say, the usefulness and the benefits of a professional discourse, a professional language, rather than a managerialist discourse. What's happened for us both at the policy level, and I think it's actually a practice level too, that quite often what we write and the language we use is driven by managerialist discourse rather than our professional discourse. I think the schools of social work and the training's let us down, but it's also, the AASW has let us down. But mind you, the AASW was us. Let's not get